Hi, welcome to Soccer Nuggets. My name's Steve Franklin.
And I'm George Perry.
And we hope that you join us on our podcast as we explore ways to help you to develop, maybe inspire, and find ways as a player, a coach, or a parent to make your time with this game enjoyable. We look forward to having you join us. Welcome back to Soccer Nuggets, everyone. George, we recently talked a little bit about helping players, coaches, work with individuals and getting them to improve their abilities to receive or control the ball. How would we do that in terms of activities? I'm going to be the coach here now. How would you take me through it?
Well, one thing I want to emphasize with everybody is that we want to talk about activities or games and not drills. Because if you use the word drills, that kids put their heads down and, we're doing that again. But
so we're not in the marching band, we're not in the bugles, we're not in the Army.
They want to play games. Want to play games. So if we can make this as much game-like as possible, it's good. So we're just going to start off with kind of a 4v4 game. So let's just make a field of some cones here.
How about – does that look good?
Well, that's okay. It's going to be maybe about a cone on the corners, maybe a cone on the middle of each side. Just to kind of show where the boundaries are. So the touch lines are over here. The goal lines are going to be down here. We're just going to start out with very basic because the objective is for these players to get to a line. So if the yellow team is going to be up at this end, and the red team is going to be going up to the top of the match. And again, we like to use the 4v4 game because what kind of a shape do we have with these 4v4s?
I think a diamond.
I think it is a diamond. You're up. You want the head. The red team is attacking up, okay? And then the yellow team is attacking here. So we've got the players going in the correct directions, and we get ourselves set up from there.
Okay.
Now, if we're working on receiving the balls on the ground, we want to keep the space kind of small because then balls aren't flighted. We don't really want balls in the air because we want repetition of how to receive or control the ball that are on the ground, whether we're receiving it from our teammates or we're intercepting a pass or just picking up a loose ball, whatever that might be. So those are things. That's one of the reasons why we want to get it. And the objective here is just to get to the ball, whether a player eventually dribbles and stops it on the line, that would be worth a point.
So all I got to do if I'm red is to get that ball, depending on skill level, to either stop it on the line to show that I have control,
right,
or to maybe dribble over that line if they happen to be a little bit younger. But what we don't want them to do is just kick the ball across the line.
Right. And one thing that might help with that too, which would be another stage, is you could almost make it a zone at the very end. So add another little line, make it a little bit bigger, and then now they just have to control the ball inside that area. Right, whether they dribble and they kind of stop it in that area, but it allows them not to really worry about stopping at this one spot.
Right.
They've got a bigger area.
And the emphasis, again, is your ability to control the ball.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so all we're doing is playing the game. So when we introduce this, we're saying, hey, red, you're going this direction. Yellow, you're going this direction. To score, stop the ball in the area and play. Don't give them any other information.
Can you hand me the towel right there so we can give them other ideas? So if we're doing this, we've gone with a targeted zone. How about this? We got to get some high-tech stuff in here, huh? Maybe some squeegees and everything like that. If we're going to open up this field a little bit and let them really get at it. What was the shape that you wanted them in? You wanted the red.
In a diamond-type shape.
Diamond and the yellow. Really, we'll say it really doesn't matter right now, and red's got the ball. If we were going to work now with a target player, maybe we put a red target player up here that they go to and a yellow player down here to take to. So now we have the red team finding ways to play into that target player.
Absolutely. So we're talking about the red team like now, and if you remember from our last episode, we talked about one of the first coaching points was getting in line with the path of the ball. So is it going to be easier to have more success for the red player to stay here, or could they come back here further to where maybe they're creating a little bit more distance between them and the opponent, and now they're getting in line with the path of this ball that can be coming into them right in that situation. And now they're also still able to see the goal, because if they're technically capable about it, there'd be nothing wrong with this player going straight to the target.
So can the games that you do, we like to have a scoring method. Mm-hmm. So the last game they had to either hold the ball on the line, dribble into the end zone or whatever the case. We like it directional. Does this target have to stay stationary?
No, they can move anywhere they want along the line, and we actually encourage that because, again, getting in line with the path of the ball, scanning, seeing where they can play the ball, really emphasizes that for every player. So this might be a resting position for the players, and then they're going to rotate. Like it could be that every time that ball goes in there, one of the players is going to take their place so they can keep a natural rotation of keeping everybody engaged and active in the game, and you really have 10 players active at one time.
I like that. So maybe as I receive this ball and this player slides over, maybe I do play it in here. Mm-hmm. And as I do it, this player could dribble back in or play to this player and join the game, and whoever played them has to replace.
Right. And
I like that. Then we're not standing around and we're not watching the game. I hate watching the game.
And especially when it's not too long of a field, which this is not. This would not be. This might be a 25-yard long field, 30-yard long field at the most, probably with the younger players. That's not a far distance for them to have to go to replace a player, from the outside inside and get the game going.
So if this red player played to here and then joined the game, we don't want to give the ball back to the yellow team and let them have. We talk about this when we have possession of the ball. We never want to give it to the opponent. What could we do in terms of the organization now? What can we do with the ball to work on receiving? Because that's our emphasis today. We really want to show that players can scan, receive the ball, and then be able to still find ways to move the ball forward. What's a condition, not a restriction? Restrictions say you only can do it one way. What's a condition that you could put on the red team?
Well, you could say there might have to be 2 passes, 3 passes before they can turn and go back to the target player who's at the other end. If you really had extra players and you wanted to, you could actually put a target player for each team in each ends on the end of each field, so that now the red team is just going this direction and looking for this target. They're not playing 1v1. This player is kind of resting until yellow gets the ball, and then they're engaged. But now we got it going back and forth, and now you've got a dozen players active in this activity.
I like it. Do you like your activities going goal to goal versus going side to side?
Well, it really depends on what you're trying to work on with your session. But certainly at the younger ages, we want to talk about going to goal. We want to go from the back half to the front half, from the front half to creating chances to score goals or take shots on goal, even though this isn't a shot on goal yet.
Right.
We can still get to that point. We still want to talk about playing forward. And when you're introducing these concepts, kind of having them play in one direction is really helpful to begin with at first. That way it keeps it simple, and they're all going, when they have the ball, we're going in the right direction.
Okay. So we're defending
one spot,
and we're attacking the other.
Right.
So that they start to understand the principles of play from that.
Right.
So we've talked a little bit about dribbling. We've talked about zones. We've talked about playing target players and keeping maybe a little flow to the game. If I was going to put goals in now, would you want me to put a goal here and a goal here?
Yeah, the smaller numbers that you play, that's where you have to be careful. There's a play space where the field players are going to be playing on.
Okay.
But if you're going to add a goal, you got to think, where are they taking the shots from? If these are 9 and 10-year-old players, let's just say, typically they take shots from maybe 10 yards out, 12 yards out. Well, if there's not enough space in here, I might set the goal off of the field 10 or 12 yards. And then we're going to drop a goalkeeper into that goal. I still want all the play happening in here, in this restricted area that you have right now, but then the shots are taken from inside this field, but then it's a live ball once it's shot, and they'll keep on playing.
And you would put a goalkeeper down at that end,
and we could put a goalkeeper up at this far end.
All right. Because I often see that with coaches when they do a game like this, they put the goal right on the edge here, and now kids are shooting from a yard to 2 yards away.
Right.
Very unrealistic in a game. So really, how can we work them now? So they really, if Red has the ball here and they're going to this goal, they're shooting before they get to the line. They're not actually dribbling.
Well, what's important with the really young kids, when there's a goal, they literally want to try to dribble the ball into the goal.
Okay.
And this kind of encourages them, saying that, hey, there's a really good opportunity for you to shoot from outside that you want to take advantage of. So even though that's not the emphasis of this session, this session we're emphasizing receiving and controlling the ball, but because it's a game, they will still dribble. They still will shoot the ball. They'll play defense. They'll do all these other things because that's what the game is all about. But the only things that we talk about is how to receive the ball, all the information that we talked about last time, getting in line with the flight of the ball, scanning, identifying what surface we're going to use to receive the ball, and then the execution of actually receiving that ball, which we talked about receiving balls on the ground with our feet, with our thigh, with our chest. What are we going to do with that?
All right. One last thing that I'd like to point out in the organization, when you put your activities here, if we put a little 10 by 10, or let's say even 10 by 20, and we put 3 people in there from both teams, what type of receiving skills are they going to get?
They're not going to have any receiving skills. They're basically all on top of the ball.
They're bang, 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 bang.
Absolutely.
So if now I make this 20 by 30, are we actually working on receiving skills now?
Well, that brings up a great point, is that the first maybe 30 seconds to a minute at the most of any new activity you're doing, as a coach, you're watching, am I getting out of this what I had intended? And if I'm not, what can I do to fix it? If that means, hey, everybody pick up a cone and take 3 steps out, or take a cone and go 3 steps in because I could have made it too big to begin with, and I'm not getting enough repetitions. But that's what you do. You kind of analyze, did I set this up right? And if you didn't, fix it right away because the kids know when it's not working.
So a coaching nugget that we could give everybody right now is when you set up the activity, let it run 2 to 3 minutes. Just be an observer. Am I getting out of this activity what I want? I'm not worried about defending. I'm not worried about finishing. Today, I'm not really worried even about passing. What I'm looking at is, can the player on the receiving end of the ball control the ball and be purposeful with what they want to do with it, hopefully in order to move the ball forward and penetrate. Right?
Absolutely.
So if I had maybe players that are a little bit older now, would you ever have a possession game that might be the full width of the field and maybe the distance here? And what might the advantage be?
Well, absolutely. I mean, the older they are, you're also going to start working on different types of receiving the ball, not just on the ground, but now there's going to be driven balls, flighted balls. Also, you're going to come up with the different parts of your body. And that's when, as they start getting older, we want them to make a choice. Am I using my foot? Am I using my thigh? Am I using my chest? What might I be doing on? And we can set things up like that. But again, in that type of situation, even though the field is bigger, I might have a goal at one end, but I also might have more target goals, small goals, or target players on the ends.
All right, so just to give the higher level individuals an idea of why this game might be important, if I had the field here where I had my back line and maybe 2 midfielders, and the goalkeeper played this ball out here and then played it to this player, and we had this space, and I knocked it back, could this player have the ability now to change the attack, and can that winger now be able to receive the ball? So that's where, even when you get into things tactically where you're looking about changing the point of attack, ways in which to move the ball forward, passing angles, all that, we still have to have the ability to receive the ball.
Absolutely. No, and again, just in my observations of watching an awful lot of soccer games in this state, for the players to really have good control of the ball, it doesn't exist that much anymore. It takes a lot of repetition. And it takes more than what they do in training. They have to realize that they actually have to go home and practice this, whether it's with family members, a friend, a brother or sister, whatever it is. It takes an awful lot of repetitions to really get this down, so it's instinctive in the game.
I was at the convention this past January, and Anson Dorrance made a mention that if you really want to become a complete player, you need a ball and a wall. And what you can do with a wall is simply play that ball as hard as you would like to play it. And as it's coming off that wall, depending on your distance from that wall, can you still control it? And you can play it off the ground so it's coming to you. So even if you don't have a friend or if you don't have any adults that are around that can kind of help you out, you still can work on your game and develop your receiving skills.
Well, in my playing days at IU, in those days, we had in the off season we had to spend 3 hours in the racquetball court doing exactly that a week outside of our team training on our own.
Do they play racquetball anymore? I thought there was just pickleball.
No, there's still racquetball courts, so you can do that.
All right. So to summarize this, if what I hear is the important thing is when you do activities, don't do drills, do activities, try to make them game-like because kids love to compete. And this now will really make it realistic because now it's kind of a game speed too. If you have a scoring mechanism, what can the scoring mechanisms be again?
Well, you can go to a line, you can go to a target zone, you can go to a target player, you can go to a goal.
Do you always have to have mirroring scoring?
No, you could have a goal at one end and you could have two target goals or a target player at the opposite end, which would replicate exactly what they're going to do in a game.
Okay. And then the size of your playing area for your activity should replicate the type of receiving skill you're working on.
Right. Well, again, even in that 4v4, even with your older players, that 4v4 space that we would use might be a left flank or the right flank, and it could be the outside back, the outside midfielder, a central midfielder, and a target forward. And you're replicating that 4v4 and that same thing, and it's no different than what we did with those little players. And that space might be, 35 yards long and 25 yards wide, whereas that same space for 9 and 10-year-olds might be 25 yards long and 15 yards wide. Absolutely.
So right in here. So, again, we've got that diamond.
Right. And,
Okay.
and it stays consistent with all that we're doing.
Cool. Well, there you go. Hope you got some soccer nuggets and some ideas when you set up your activities, not drills, but you set up your activities, what to really focus on. Get the fine detail, in this case, of being able to receive the skills. You can do the same thing again and think about the passing side, the dribbling side, whatever context you want to work on. But today we were simply talking about the ability to receive and control. Look forward to seeing you again with Soccer Nuggets.